The events that took place at Lakewood Church on Sunday has sparked concern. Any sort of shooting in a large crowd causes fear and panic. Well, we've discussed the trauma associated with shootings. We also want to talk about best practices on how to protect ourselves. Jim Napolitano, a former U.S. Secret Service agent who protected the lives of 4 presidents, is here with us this morning. Jim, good morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning.
So my producer came up with a few scenarios that we're going to run through and get your expert advice on. Starting with, say you're in an area and you hear gunshots. What do you advise people do in this situation?
Well, if you're in an area where you're not going to hear a loud noise like that, and it's not common to hear that, then you need to start making a plan to remove yourself from that area as quickly as you possibly can. Obviously not panicking, but just let's move until we figure out what this might be. And if it sounds like gunshots, then, you know, inside a building, sometimes they sound more like construction. But if there's no construction at the building, then you know it's not something that's normal.
Okay, that's really great perspective. Talking more about the events that took place on Sunday at Lakewood Church. Say you're in a place such as a church. The instinct for many folks is to get up from your seat, from your pew, and run. Is that what you recommend people do, or should they hide? What do you suggest?
Well, the Houston Police Department and Homeland Security put out a great video years ago called Run, Hide, and Fight. And when we say run, we don't mean run and make a big target for yourself. You're showing the video that I did with Bill there, where you get down behind the seats and crawl away, move as fast as you possibly can, and become the smallest target for the shooter. You don't want to make a big target by standing up and giving them something easy to shoot at. You want to get low, use as much concealment as you can, and then move away from the shooter to an exit as fast as you can. So you're running, but not running as in the word run. You're escaping from the problem. And
perhaps, a setting like a church, you do have those shields in place with the wooden pews or whatever it is near you to utilize. Say you're in a crowded place outside an outlet mall. We saw this take place last year in North Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. What is something a person should do in a situation like this?
Well, when you're at a mall, if you're in the mall area, there's many shops that are going to be open. So if you're out in the central area, you might look for a shop real quick that you can duck into and then secure the doors as best you can and shelter in place. This way you don't become a target. Now, if there's vehicles there that you can use, get behind the vehicle and then move away from that person by keeping the vehicle in between you and the shooter to the next vehicle. So you're constantly using it as cover as you move away faster and faster, but not giving yourself up to the shooter to shoot at easily.
Yeah. If the shooter is in an area in that they're blocking the exit to the room you're in, what should you do at that point?
Well, like I said, the Houston Police Department did a great job putting that video out. If you can't run and you can't hide, you better fight. And you better close the distance as quickly as you can to the shooter if he can't see you, and then attempt to take the weapon away from them as quickly and as possibly as you can. If there's anything in the room or there that you can use as some type of weapon, then that's what you want to do. You might pick up a fire extinguisher or a chair or anything to help yourself defeat this person. And you need to attack them as hard as you possibly can. They're trying to kill you, so you best use every bit of your strength to defeat them and stop their weapon and stop them from shooting.
Jim, we so much appreciate your time this morning. This conversation is certainly not to scare people, but it's to give them a moment to think about situations like this and different options that they might explore in hopes of potentially saving their lives.
Yes, sir. Having a plan. My family and I went to a function in downtown Montgomery a few months ago for Halloween, and it was very crowded, 5,000–6,000 people. There's a lot of folks in Montgomery. And the first thing I said is, if something happens, we're going to get back to the truck. So if we get separated, our plan is to go back to our parking area and meet there if we get separated. So having a plan with your family and understanding that you might not be close by each other when something bad happens, but that the plan was to move back to the parked vehicle and meet there, and then use that as a reunification site.
In all of your years, decades spent in law enforcement in protecting people of power, but also, your family and friends, how often, or if ever, have you had to use these tactics in situations that called for something like this?
Not very often. Okay. Obviously, these are not things that happen on a daily basis, but are becoming more and more prevalent. So we need to have plans in place and understand what we need to do. I have had to react to possible shooters in the past while protecting the president, and we had plans in place, and they always worked. So having the plan in place, executing that plan the best as possible, and stopping the danger as quickly as possible.
Again, Jim Napolitano, thank you so much for your time, sir. We do appreciate it.
Good morning.
Thank you.